Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Ooh, that was a good one. Welcome once more as we travel into the imagination sphere here aboard the Reckless Attack Express, which is not just a fictional imagination train, but also a 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons actual play podcast. And I am your Dungeon Master, Nathan, and that's how I start every episode.
I was gonna say welcome to Destination Imagination, but I don't know if we have to take the episode down.
Yeah, right.
Trademark.
We get just a very seriously worded email from
Welcome aboard
they who will not be
the
named.
train of thought.
Yeah, exactly. I am joined, as always, by the exceptional players here on Reckless Attack, starting, of course, with...
Hi everyone, it's me. I'm David, and I play Kaskrin Brightmane, the Dwarven Warlock. And boy, Tree City continues to be wild and cool, but I think Kaskrin has found a familiar face. Maybe slash friend slash cool tattooed person. I don't know. I'm making it up as we go.
Everyone needs a friend with a shitload of tattoos.
Yeah.
And Kaskrin maybe
yeah.
found his.
Yay. And across the table from me.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and I play Valeska Carter, the human Astra cleric of the Arcana domain. And Al just wants to hear a ton of stories and swap stories. She's got a lot of journals full of stories, but oh boy, is she tired, because it's 10 o'clock at night and she's ready for
It's
bed.
been a big day, I would say, after several other big days in a row. And you can feel your bed senses tell you
They're
just up there is
Yeah.
a bed just for me.
Kaskrin's bed senses started tingling way before we started entering the
His
city.
bed senses started tingling when we got to the foot of the tree, and he was like, I'm getting fucking
Yeah,
up
I'm up
there.
there. I don't care if I have to climb this thing.
I am sleeping in a bed.
And that's why we love Kaskrin. He makes bed-related things happen. And what more can you ask for a character?
And to my left.
I know what I said. I didn't, but I stand by it.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I play Checkers, the Grung Druid, and his trusty frog pals, Mango and Junior. And I don't know why, but I'm just imagining Kaskrin as that old folk tale of the person pickaxe.
John Henry?
Yeah, John Henry, going through a mountain, but to get to a bed.
Yeah, well, you tell the right story to
Right.
this member of the Tailspun Order.
I'm so tired of sleeping on the ground. I'm going to get through this mountain. It's the last thing I do.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened in my mind. So,
Well, new Checkers sketch.
yeah. And across the table from me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Steve, and I am playing Sylv Esterlin, the Dragonborn monk. And just excited to be, I guess, still in a tree fort. A little bummed that it's cursed.
Yeah.
Excited to also meet some new friends, and then again a little bit bummed to find out they're cursed. So
Wow. Terrible.
yeah, it's so we'll see what happens. Maybe the good will outweigh the bad, and
Go see the
I guess
council.
we'll see what happens at the council.
Yeah. And, as far as you guys know, you have to be here for a while for the curse to kick in. So right now, no curses, essentially, I think, probably.
Well, for us.
Well, right. But
Not yet. But Checkers is...
here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Not for a try it on Checkers.
Yeah.
Cut to Checkers, in the darkness of night, wandering the streets, just yelling, "Here, curse, 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 curse."
Oh,
See,
that's
I'm imagining him breaking into Warren's room and just body slamming him to get as much contact as possible.
oh. See, I had a completely different image of many months from now. Checkers, who had stayed behind at the tree specifically to be cursed.
Yeah. of course.
And then decided the way around the whole thing was to go collect the fruit that changes him colors.
Oh, yeah.
So he's pale, but he's different colors of pale. So it's some weird thing. He's trying to get
it's
around
a curse
the
off as well.
yeah. He's trying to get around the curse by eating the fruit that makes him venomous,
Well,
or no, poisonous, makes you poisonous.
there's only one way to find out, and that's to play the game of Dungeons and Dragons.
This is true.
We find ourselves in the city of Deepwood, which is a large city nestled inside of a gigantic tree that is a waypoint on your journey. You have learned some interesting information from Juniper the Ravenmount, one of the city guards / scouts. Basically, he told you that the city is cursed, as we have alluded to. There was an ultra-giant attack many, many years ago, and the ruling council of elders and or a kind of mysterious druid grove attached to the forest casted some sort of magic to protect the city at all costs and turn the large creature away. You saw remnants of its attack still to this day in its kind of singed marks on the side of the tree. But Juniper hopes that you guys will at least be able to convince the Council of Elders that, hey, you should remain a beacon of hope and welcoming and connection. You guys have finally found your way into a tavern, unmarked, but being currently inhabited by a tavern keeper, certainly, but also a tatted up bard, part of the Tailspun Order named Warren Walgrove, as well as Amber Thunderwalker, clearly some sort of elven traveler, who is an older woman, as well as Warren's page, understudy, apprentice, unclear, a dwarf whose name you have not gotten yet. You all have been welcomed into the tavern. I'm imagining the fortunate, the undead centurion who's with you, just goes off into the corner a little bit after the introductions, probably maybe even before the introductions, so as not to call over attention to themselves. And it's just kind of posting up in the corner by themselves, not eating or drinking anything for...
Just like goes to join the decor.
Yeah, just hides behind like a sheet or something. And you guys have been invited to join at the table of the other people who you would also know also have audiences with the Council of Elders tomorrow, as do you guys. I guess I'll ask, after days of being outside of civilization, of jerky and trail mix and also a heap of murder, how do you guys take a load off? Or what does it look like? Or can you just describe your character finally being inside of a house that is not trying to actively eat you, Selv, for the first time in a week plus?
I feel like Val would want a bath, but we have company. So she's made like a little to-do list in her mind of like, here's what I'm going to do before I go to bed. But for now, she will just go up to the bartender and be like, please tell me all of the foods you have that do not contain granola.
I don't want raisins. I don't want almonds. None of that.
If you could make a trail mix out of it, it should be nowhere near my plate.
Nothing crunchy, please.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Exactly.
And like something warm and hot. And like she's just like going and
But not
like,
oatmeal. Don't give me oats.
No. So she is just like grilling this poor barkeep of like, I need to know every possible combination of food you could give me, and I'm just going to say no to a lot of them until we find the right one.
Eventually, we'll say that you I know it's a relatively limited option.
Please, barkeep, if you have a menu, I will consult that. But
he doesn't. He just lists some things off to you. But it's actually kind of a surprisingly, I'll say, diverse menu to an extent, in that all of them seem to have a lot of different, relatively fresh-sounding ingredients. There's vegetables, there's berries, and a lot of them have some form of meat. Usually, a lot of like venison or something like that. So perhaps he could interest you in a stew or something that is nice, filling, warm, lots of vegetables.
yeah, that sounds good. With a hearty ale as well.
I'm trying to figure out how bad does Cascarin smell.
Right? Like, we've been traveling for weeks. So Val's
Yeah.
just like, everyone seems to be sitting down and talking. I guess a bath will wait.
Because like he wants to take the armor off, but like the gambeson has not been washed in some time, so Cascarin is ripe. But it's like
If you start peeling those layers now.
yeah, no, now is not the time. So he's gonna have to keep it on for a while.
Well, and if you guys are like, hey, the way that I would like to unwind is I would like to take a bath. That's reasonable. Like, I think that's fair, and it would not be a rude thing. They're just like, there's just so much enthusiasm, basically, that they're like, come on.
FOMO is hard
Fair.
happening, and Val, she will not.
Very fair. But there could be some combination therein. Again, unless you were like, I'm taking a 6-hour bath, and so you will not see me for the rest of the night. I would say otherwise you are easily able to go up, wash up, relax, do whatever you need to, and then join for appropriate scenes there shortly thereafter.
I, for some reason, can only think that Mango has been carrying Checkers and like the big water barrel and all these supplies for about a week plus at this point.
Yes.
So when he finally gets all of that stuff off, he's just exceptionally flat and just like laying on the ground next to Kaskrin, just barely moving. He's like this 6-inch disc that just like lays across the entire floor of the tavern. Just like, yes, I'm so comfortable.
Puddle.
Yep. And then Checkers,
Instead of the bear rug in
yes,
the middle.
yes.
there's just Mango. And Checkers has pulled up a seat as close to Warren as possible, just like almost touching elbows with him. Just like, hi, I'm Checkers. You look cool.
Thank you. You understand, these are, and like then goes into explaining all about the tattoos being stories that he knows, and is like, starts immediately launching into like, oh, and this one is this one is that. And oh, I see you've taken a shine to this particular one. That's actually a very interesting tale from blah, blah, blah. And like is starting to already go into tell some things. What is everyone else doing?
Val is immediately realizing she can't. She
Yeah,
absolutely
right. Yeah. Katrin like was about to take a step up the stairs, but then like he hears Warren in the background starting to go over all these cool stories. He's just like, no, I can't leave.
Oh no, I'm saying Val is
Val's
the opposite. Val has taken her stew and her ale to the table and like sat down, and like the second Warren starts launching into a story, she's like, I cannot pay attention to this. I want to so badly, and I cannot. And she will just what was the woman's name again?
Amber Thunderwalker.
She'll kind of like, I'm assuming Amber's at the table, and Val
Yes.
will just kind of lean over and be like, I'm so sorry, Amber. I would really like to know more about you and Warren, but we have just finished traveling for an untold number of days. I really couldn't tell you right now.
Between 1 and 10.
But I would really love to learn more about you. Can I join you for breakfast tomorrow?
The older elf woman kind of looks at you and regards you and kind of just smiles a little bit and is like, of course. Sorry, are you must be city dwellers.
Yes, I grew up in Rakma, and our guild is based in Agmar. This was our first time traveling, not on the runic roads.
I did notice your badges. I would, of course, love to learn more about you, but and again, this is all like kind of whispering to the side. I think speaking for myself and speaking as someone who has listened to the Tailspun monk over there, we forget not all are accustomed to the lifestyles that we lead, and that seems very reasonable.
Thank you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And Val takes her
The
stew
whole thing
and ale and walks upstairs
it just goes
to
up.
go to bath and like go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, given that Kaskrin is
Val's
like,
out.
Kaskrin's like, he wants to, but I think it's gonna be one of those. I do need like the 6-hour bath.
Yeah.
At this point,
Yes.
I'm gonna say my goodnight. Hope that they're still staying in town another night, and then maybe do some festivities tomorrow.
Of course, we will be here tomorrow. Well, of course we'll be here tomorrow. We have, I believe the both of us have business with the council. Do you as well?
Yes, we do have a meeting with them. We have things to discuss.
Well, then we shall spend the day together tomorrow, and we shall exchange stories as new friends.
And Kaskrin will like shake his hand, and then like kind of in the same way Valeska did, kind of drag himself over to the bar.
Yep.
Get like drink and food, and then head upstairs. And
2
just,
mugs,
like,
3 bowls.
right? And it's just like gonna be unavailable the rest of the night.
Yep. I think at that, the fortunate like sees that both of you has left, and then like goes up the stairs in once again a manner very contrary to the fact that it is a walking suit of armor, totally silently and just also kind of excuses themselves, being like, I don't want to be here either. I'm just gonna go upstairs. Selv, what is it that Selv does? As Checkers is already kind of the only one just kind of like
I feel like
pedal
Checkers
to the
is
metal.
getting like whipped into a frenzy
Yeah.
stories.
It's like all Val talks about is boring history. These are cool stories.
Yeah, they are. And like a lot of them are like already are like,
I imagine these are like epic, more like Odyssey style stories.
especially once Warren kind of gets the vibe of Checkers. He knows an audience, and he knows is like he does not want to hear about the founding of the library in this foreign country 600 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He would like to hear the giant hunt of the I don't know, like fucking Giga Mammoth, whatever it is. And immediately starts going into like, oh, and then, well, of course, there's this one. Have you heard this one? It's just, absolutely high adventure, crazy stories that are all true, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
So I, first of all, I wasn't quite prepared for there being venison up in the giant tree. So that kind of threw me.
They're next to the forest.
Right, but just the fact that we're in an enormous tree, like it didn't, like, that kind
doesn't
of
compute. It was like,
so
but we're so far up.
I was fully prepared to order like
Bark
the
soup.
well, kind of actually leaf stroganoff.
Oh, okay. I mean,
That's still on the menu.
yeah, that's
though.
there to be clear.
So I will have that or some kind of stew or something.
It's the best leaf stroganoff you've had since the monastery, for sure.
Actually, I think I'm going to stay down at the table for a little bit just to make sure that Checkers is fully entertained and doesn't just decide to create his own entertainment.
Yep.
For
This
that.
is the benefit of going to bed early, is you don't have to babysit.
Yeah, plausible deniability.
I should have said all this first. Dang it. And then I will kind of wait until there's an opening, and I will ask Warren, just out of curiosity, have you heard any stories about the last stand of Prince Robard?
Some. Why do you ask?
I'll tell you what, I will tell you one that I've heard, if you then exchange for one that you have heard.
That is a fairer trade than I often get. Usually it is all me telling, especially now that I am so along in my career. There are very few stories that I haven't heard yet.
This one I heard told from the perspective of someone who may have been there.
And then I will tell them the story of, from my perspective, the last stand of Prince Robard.
Do you get the fuller context?
No, I tell the story as he was there. He was asking his people to stand with him, and then the fight that happened after that with the cord collar, and then up until what I assume is his death at the hands of the member of the Pentarchy.
Question to you, Steve. How do you present the story? Like, do you embellish it? Do you is it like a historical recounting of what happened?
So Selv would tell it essentially from the perspective of someone who was there. And so it's as close to as Selv remembers.
Okay.
And then we'll see if that tracks with anything that Warren has heard.
So Warren, pretty quickly into the story, he motions to the dwarf, who again is just disgustingly untattooed, comparatively speaking. And the dwarf just like nods and then whips out some paper and actually starts kind of like jotting some things down in kind of a shorthand. And he listens. He just like listens to your story. He doesn't really even. He occasionally will like ask a clarifying question, but for the most part, he just like goes totally still and just makes like kind of very intense, direct eye contact as you're telling the story.
And I'm sorry, I did not get the name of your apprentice.
And he just like keeps looking at you as you're talking, and he doesn't even look back, and he just like waves over his shoulders like, that's Baltar. Don't pay any attention to him. Go on, please. And Baltar like looks up and just looks down at the paper.
Then I will continue telling the story until the gruesome death.
And is this a relatively recent? Was this early in the days? Was this nearby?
I believe the battle happened 2, maybe 3 days from here. Travel. I don't know exactly how old the story is, but yes, Pentarchy.
That's great news. The reason I am here is I am here to petition the elders to look into their trove of historical documents and stories. To spend some time here researching, interviewing, if they'll let me, and collecting stories from this place that has been closed off for some time. To know, at least to have one story that could be contained therein. That's very exciting. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Of course.
And he turns around to Baltar. Did you get all that? Baltar just like has been sweating profusely and it's just nods. Yes, it's good. I'll check later. And he leans back and he says, "Well, for you, what story would you have in return?"
Well, at first I was considering something about the prince, if you happen to know about that, but...
And Selv will kind of lean in almost conspiratorially.
Mm-hmm.
I am interested to know about dragons. Now, if you have one of Prince Robard and a dragon...
And he just kind of laughs and is like, unfortunately that I can't do. But yes, I do know one of dragons. Just give me 1 moment.
Of course.
And he actually drags his chair a little bit away and closes his eyes and is totally still and silent for a little bit. Amber, the elven woman, leans over and is just says to you, "Dragon stories are some of my favorites as well. I often wonder if the stories they tell are true, of the great deeds, of the mighty power, the evil, the triumph."
Well, maybe one day we'll be able to ask one directly.
And she just nods and then kind of pauses for a second and is like, I don't,
Okay, weirdo.
Yeah.
I don't believe in dragons.
Just why would you ask that?
And she gets back her train of thought and she says, well, somehow I doubt that will be happening. There's been no dragon seen for very, very long time.
I just imagine Sel being for 4 days.
But, maybe one day.
No dragon incidents since. And just
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Last time since Dragon Attack. Yeah.
And she, again, kind of looks down at at both of your pins and is like, Golden Tree Guilders. I thought the Golden Tree had disbanded.
They were recently reintroduced in Agmar. I received an invitation. Well, we all received some kind of invitation, but I actually don't know the reason for them being brought back.
And she kind of smiles a little bit and says, invite only now. Well, the Golden Tree is an old guild, and I'm glad to see it is back. You, Grung.
Aye.
Checkers, right?
Yes.
What made you join the guild?
Well, the short answer is I got tricked. But
and she laughs at that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm. See, Casquin and I have a little bit of a rivalry, I suppose you could call it.
Kaskrin is the dwarf.
Yes, the Square Rock Man, yes.
And she also kind of itself, you would see this. I don't know, Checkers, you can decide if you pick up on it or not. That's up to your character, but she is finding Checkers just delightful.
Well, finally, someone.
Yeah.
Someone appreciates me.
Mm-hmm.
Casquin said he was going to join the Golden Tree, and he thought it would be good for me to join too. And the way that he told me about it was, he said, Checkers, I bet you can't be an adventurer. I know it's a really hard life. It's too tough for you.
And have you found it to be a very hard life, too tough for you, Master Grung?
No, it's been a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying it, actually. But don't tell him I said that.
your secret is safe with me. And you, Self, why did you join?
Well, for reasons I don't quite understand, I tend to have a calming effect on people. And when the invitation came, my monastery decided that I would make a good addition to go out and see Rixia, see what's out there, aside from just being at the within the walls of the monastery.
And so you are from one of the dragon monasteries.
The Bingjuzi Monastery.
I didn't know those still were around.
Well, yes, been around for a while, but up in the mountains, so generally don't get a lot of visitors.
No, I would imagine not.
But you knew, did you know previous members of the Golden Tree Guild?
I did. Yes. Not well. At least not in my old age do I feel like I knew them well. But I have good memories of the Golden Tree and many other guilds that I have come into contact with over the years. I am a wanderer. I call no place home other than Rixia itself. And I've been doing that for many, many years. And as I'm sure the two of you know, Rixia is often a very dangerous place and has a great many horrors and beautiful things. Beautiful horrors, if I'm being honest. That has often brought me in contact with guilders, and for the most part, I take a great joy in them.
Do you happen to know any of the Golden Tree Guilders named Gabriella or I forget the other ones?
Oh, no. I didn't even know that the Golden Tree had been reformed, but I have met many other guilders.
And I'm gonna pull a Columbo here.
Mm-hmm.
One last thing. What's the strangest creature you've encountered outside the walls of a city during your travels?
Checkers pulls up like a sheet of paper with a big mammoth on it and says, "Was that the Giga Mammoth?"
Wow, you drew that very quickly.
Yeah.
She takes a bit, kind of smiling, thinking. And she says, honestly, I don't see any of the creatures that I've ever encountered as strange. I have been wandering these wilds for a long time. And when you spend as much time as I do, while there are strange monsters, beasts, things that defy explanations, you see enough of them. And it all sort of makes a strange, beautiful sense.
Is there any that stands out to you?
Well, the one I enjoyed the least was a
Brontohorsis.
They're, and I don't know if they are even in this part of the world. There are strange, malevolent creatures. I believe they were once mortals who now dwell underground, some say. And she kind of leans in again, kind of like getting into the storytelling. And they form great colonies and prey upon hapless mortals with strange suggestions. They speak into your mind and they lure you in and consume you, brain first, if you believe that sort of thing.
Checkers is listening, but he's also going to hold up a piece of paper that shows what he's drawn from her
Already?
description. Yeah. And it's this colony of big ant people that have just radio waves coming out of their antenna. Are these it?
No. Well, no, but weirdly enough, I have seen those too.
Neat.
Those, I would say, are my least favorite, if I were to pick.
Oh, hopefully we can avoid those.
I would suggest it. Though, you are guilders, and so I have often found that guilders are more than prepared to do much more than they, or especially their foes, think possible.
And now, a word from our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by the Library of Sorrows. Looking to add a touch of mystery to your Dungeons & Dragons campaign? Maybe your players reach a new town, and an ancient library awaits them, whispering forbidden secrets to those who draw near. Enter the Library of Sorrows, a D&D 5th edition adventure for players level 3 through 8. Step inside an arcane library filled with dark books and even darker stories. It's a compact, narrative-driven dungeon crawl that fits inside any setting, with a wild twist in the story to scare even the most stalwart adventurer. The Library of Sorrows is not all it seems, and remember, sometimes reading can be bad for you. Check out the Library of Sorrows, available on the marketplace of Roll20.net, as well as Drive-Thru RPG and itch.io.
Hey there, it's Jonathan here with the Midroll. Did you know that one of the easiest ways to support the shows you love is to give them a rating? That's right. Rating and reviewing your favorite shows gives others the chance to learn about them, and maybe find their new favorite show too. If you want to support us directly, you can check out our Ko-fi, where we have our How to Promo document. It's a pay-what-you-want resource that gives you the basics of getting your tabletop role-playing product out in front of others. Also, we have merch. Check out our website at recklessattack.com for links to all of our merchandise and links to all of the artists that we partner with. That's all from me. Thanks again, and hope you enjoy the rest of the episode.
And then Warren kind of snaps up and he says, I have the story for you. Years ago, in a faraway land. And he goes into a story of a red dragon, a fiery dragon, who had been terrorizing a village for years and had ruled over their territory for a long time. And many had rowed out to try and slay it, to stop it, to drive it away. Magicians, warriors, kings, even. And none had succeeded. Just as the world was giving up hope, ready to live under its despotic rule or leave, a woman went up and treated with this dragon. The dragon said, "What do you bring me? What do you try to kill me with?" And instead, she simply talked to the dragon. Told them about the hurt that had been caused and about the fear. Days later, the woman returned, and the red dragon was never seen again. But for many years later, a beautiful silver dragon was often spied flying over the village. No one knows exactly what happened, he said again, kind of like dramatically and conspiratorially. But that valley, that area, was prosperous from then on. Baltar, begins applauding in the background.
Checkers joins.
And he takes a big, deep bow, and Amber gives a nice little clap as well. Now, are there any other stories you would like to trade?
Unfortunately, I believe I'm going to join my companions in a brief bath and then bedtime. But in the morning,
everyone just kind of like, of course. Good evening, and thank you so much for sharing the story. And Amber just kind of nods at you and kind of watches you as you go up the stairs.
And all of our money pouches are missing.
Yeah. And Warren turns back and is like, well, I believe we're the only ones, the only three, I mean, 4, he says, like, thinking of Baltar. the only left. Are you also taking your evening sojourn, Sir Frog?
So Checkers this whole time in the back of his mind has been thinking about the tattoos that Warren has.
Yes.
And he's learned a little bit from him about how the people of the Tailspun Order get them. Each tattoo represents a story that they have carved into their minds, that they hold true to themselves, and that is just part of them forever.
Mm-hmm.
And Checkers has been thinking about a story like that because he's thinking, wow, if I tell a story in the presence of this monk, maybe I'll get a cool tattoo.
I mean, gotta try it, right?
Yeah,
Process
exactly.
of elimination.
Exactly. And now as he watches Selv go up the stairs to his room, and with Warren's eyes on him, he kind of goes back to an earlier time. A time when he was told stories that were absolutely true, that were stories that were not meant to be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of sinks into this almost trance-like state and begins reciting a story from a memory. Remember these words well, offspring of the Ingatan. This land with bubbling muck and roiling seas, with infinite spires that gouge the sky. Its bitterness is constant, a jealousy that fills it to the brim. Each monsoon, a wild heartbeat. Each river, a turquoise vein that carries its resentful cries to the horizon. It is but a child, yearning for its mother. Do not despise it. Instead, offer it your memories in humility and courage. Pray for the sun to always shine upon it, so that it may find its way. For deep beneath the land, where colors and textures were lost, where endless rage thrashes against its prison, laps the quiet tide of love. And that's where we'll end the episode, folks. See you all next time.
When you forgot that there was another person here, I was like, yeah, duh, Mango.
Mango.
I
I
forgot.
loved it. Yeah. Mango's
I literally in my head was like, I know technically this could be Mango, but it's not.
Yeah.